Hi, and welcome to Neville Goddard's teachings. I'm your host, Ramesh, and in this video, we're going to read chapter 3. I will stop at certain points. In the last video, I made a very short summary of some of the things I found important. Of course, this chapter has a lot more, and we're going to discuss it. I'm going to read it, we'll get through it. So hold on tight. Okay, let's start here. It starts with, again, Moses stated, I am that I am. Now here is something to always bear in mind. You cannot put new wine in old bottles or new patches upon old garments. That is, you cannot take with you into the new consciousness any part of the old man. Let me stop right here. So what he says is, if you want to be what I talked about, your version A, and you want to be version B, you have to leave version A behind. You have to go to version B, because let's say version B is you, the person who has the car. Do you think the person who has the car has any worries? No. Any doubts? No. Any financial problems? No, because he or she already has the car. So they don't have anything to worry about. This is why you have to leave behind some parts of the old you. Worries, doubts, fears. It's not there. It's not present. Let's continue. All of your present beliefs, fears, and limitations are weights that bind you to your present level of consciousness. See, that's what I just said. If you want to be person B or version B, but you keep having doubts, worries that it's not going to happen, then it's holding you back from actually getting what you want. Let's continue. If you would transcend this level, you must leave behind all that is now your present self, or conception of yourself. Conception of yourself is just how you think about yourself. To do this, you take your attention away from all that is now your problem or limitation and dwell upon just being. That is, you say silently but feeling to yourself, I am. Now, there's a question like, how do you feel that you are? Easy, the way I do it, just slowly breathing in, out until you're very relaxed. I count from 1 to 100 to build focus, and then I feel that I am that power. Let's continue. Do not condition this awareness as yet. Just declare yourself to be, and continue to do so until you are lost in the feeling of just being, faceless and formless. It just means that you're meditating, and like I said, you've built calm and then focus. So let's keep it simple. When this expansion of consciousness is attained, then within this formless deep of yourself, give form to the new conception by feeling yourself to be that which you desire to be. All right? So here he says you have to feel yourself to be that which you desire to be. So assume you are that person. What would that person feel? He wouldn't feel, or she, there's no doubts, no worries, no fears. And that's how you have to feel. Feel relaxed. You already have it. You do. Let's go to the next page. You will find within this deep of yourself all things to be divinely possible. Everything in the world which you can conceive of being is to you, within this present formless awareness, a most natural attainment. The invitation given us in the scriptures is to be absent from the body and be present with the Lord. The body being your former conception of yourself, and the Lord your awareness of being. So here it's being said that you have to be absent from the body and be present with the Lord. It just means you're so deep in this meditation that you only think of the thing you want right now or who you want to be right now. It's you're so deep in your imagination and you're living it right now. This is what is meant when Jesus said to Nicodemus, sorry if I mispronounce it, "Ye must be born again, for except ye be born again, ye cannot enter the kingdom of heaven." That is, except you leave behind you your present conception of yourself and assume the nature of the new birth, you will continue to outpicture your present limitations. So in other words, he actually repeats what Neville just mentioned. You want to go into the new state, that new version of you, leave behind all your problems, leave everything behind. Before you imagine, drop everything, all your worries, all your doubts, everything. The only way to change your expressions of life is to change your consciousness. For consciousness is the reality that eternally solidifies itself in the things round about you. Man's world, in its every detail, is his consciousness outpictured. You can no more change your environment or world by destroying things than you can your reflection by destroying the mirror. Your environment and all within it reflects that which you are in consciousness. As long as you continue to be that in consciousness, so long will you continue to outpicture it in your world. So, like I mentioned in the previous podcast, in short, he says that how you think of yourself, and if you keep thinking of yourself in a certain way, this is how people will always view you. So be very careful how you think of yourself. Aware. Knowing this, begin to revalue yourself. Man has placed too little value upon himself. In the book of Numbers, you will read, "In that day there were giants in the land, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and we were in their sight as grasshoppers." This does not mean a time in the dim past when man had the stature of giants. Today is the day, the eternal now, when conditions round about you have attained the appearance of giants, such as unemployed, the armies of your enemy, your problems, and all things that seem to threaten you. Those are the giants that make you feel yourself to be a grasshopper. But you are told, you were first, in your own sight, a grasshopper, and because of this, you were to the giants a grasshopper. In other words, you can only be to others what you are first to yourself. Therefore, to revalue yourself and begin to feel yourself to be the giant, a center of power, is to dwarf these former giants and make of them grasshoppers. It's very, very interesting and a beautiful text what he writes. So, of course, we have problems and issues, but we have to become bigger than those problems. We have to think big of ourselves. We must realize that we have the power because we are power. Let's continue. All the inhabitants of the earth are as nothing, And he doeth according to his will in the armies of heaven, and among all the inhabitants of the earth. And none can stay his hand, nor say unto him, What doest thou? This being spoken of is not the orthodox God sitting in space, but the one and only God, the everlasting Father, your awareness of being. So awake to the power that you are, not as man, but as your true self, a faceless, formless awareness, and free yourself from your self-imposed prison. I am the good shepherd, and know my sheep, and am known of mine. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they will follow me. Awareness is the good shepherd. What I am aware of being is the sheep that follow me. So good a shepherd is your awareness that it has never lost one of the sheep that you are aware of being. So basically, the way I interpret this is that you are the master, the shepherd, and the sheep are just a lot of your thoughts. You keep the sheep under control. You keep them with you. You keep those good thoughts, those positive thoughts with you. Let's continue. I am a voice calling in the wilderness of human confusion for such as I am aware of being. And never shall there come a time when that which I am convinced that I am shall fail to find me. I am is an open door for all that I am to enter. Your awareness of being is Lord and Shepherd of your life. So, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want is seen in its true light now to be your consciousness. You could never be in want of proof or lack the evidence of that which you are aware of being. This being true, why not become aware of being great, God-loving, wealthy, healthy, and all attributes that you admire? So here, it's clearly stated that if you want something, you actually should not want it. You must assume that you already have it and you already do have it. Because if you want something, you will always remain in this state of want. You will always be version A who wants something. You are version A, you want something. And there's version B, and they already have that. You want to be version B. So stop wanting and start assuming. Let's continue. It is just as easy to possess the consciousness of these qualities as it is to possess their opposites, for you have not your present consciousness because of your world. On the contrary, your world is what it is because of your present consciousness. Simple, is it not? Too simple, in fact, for the wisdom of man that tries to complicate everything. And this last sentence is something that we should all think about because we love to make things so complicated while it actually is very simple. I do get a lot of people who tell me, yes, but how? And it's time pressed. But if you're doing that, you're only making things complicated for yourself. Keep it simple. Let's continue. Paul said of this principle, it is to the Greeks, or wisdom of this world, foolishness, and to the Jews, or those who look for signs, a stumbling block, with the result that man continues to walk in darkness rather than awake to the being that he is. So it's funny that he actually mentions that we try to overcomplicate things, and then We will always, sorry, there was a fly, walk in the darkness. So let's continue. Man has so long worshipped the images of his own, making that at first he finds this revelation blasphemous, since it spells death to all his previous beliefs in a God apart from himself. This revelation will bring the knowledge that I and my Father are one, but my Father is greater than I. You are one with your present conception of yourself, but you are greater than that which you are at present aware of being. So here Neville tells you that in general you have to leave all your former beliefs. There is no God outside. It's all within. It's all inside of you. Let's continue. Before man can attempt to transform his world, he must first lay the foundation, I am the Lord. That is, man's awareness, his consciousness of being, is God. So in other words, your imagination is God. Until this is firmly established so that no suggestion or argument put forward by others can shake it, he will find himself returning to the slavery of his former beliefs. If ye believe not that I am he, ye shall die in your sins. That is, you shall continue to be confused and thwarted until you find the cause of your confusion. And I believe this is where a lot of people go wrong. They simply keep surrendering to this 3D world, sorry, and they do not accept that God is their own consciousness, it's their imagination, it's the mind. God is the mind. It's all in your mind, actually. And as long as you keep worshiping some God outside, according to Neville, you will never get what you want. This is what he says. I'm just passing on his message. Let's continue. When you have lifted up the Son of Man, then shall you know that I am he. That is, that I, John Smith, do nothing of myself, but my Father, or that state of consciousness which I am now one with, does the works. So that imaginal act is actually going to create this into your reality. That's how I understand it. Let's continue. When this is realized, every urge and desire that springs within you shall find expression in your world. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and sup with him, and he with me. The I knocking at the door is the urge, or the desire. The door is your consciousness, your imagination. To open the door is to become one with that which is knocking, by feeling oneself to be the thing desired. To feel one's desire as impossible is to shut the door or deny this urge expression. So this is what many people have trouble with too. If they think that whatever they want is impossible, they're just keeping the door shut. The desire is standing in front of that door, and it really wants to be let in. So open the door. Anything is possible. Burn this in your mind. It is true. You must believe this. Let's continue. To rise in consciousness to the naturalness of the thing felt is to swing wide the door and invite this one into embodiment. That is why it is constantly recorded that Jesus left the world of manifestation and ascended unto his Father. Jesus, as you and I, found all things impossible to Jesus as man. So we can see here that Jesus actually, it's we. We are actually Jesus, according to Neville Goddard and his interpretation. Let's continue. But having discovered his Father to be the state of consciousness of the thing desired, he but left behind him the Jesus consciousness, and rose in consciousness to that state desired, and stood upon it until he became one with it. As he made himself one with that, he became that in expression. This is Jesus' simple message to man. Men are but garments that the impersonal being, I am, the presence that men call God, dwells in. Each garment has certain limitations. In order to transcend these limitations and give expression to that which, as man, John Smith, you find yourself incapable of doing, you take your attention away from your present limitations or John Smith conception of yourself, and merge yourself in the feeling of being that which you desire. Just how this desire or newly attained consciousness will embody itself, no man knows. So in short, he says you have to drop your worries, your doubts, your fears. You don't think of you as you. You think of you as power. You are power. You are God. You have that power. And then you imagine what you want to be, for example. And you have to feel it. We'll get much deeper into that in the further books. Now let's continue. Oh, and also, we do not know how this imaginal act will be manifested into this world. It's clearly written here. No man knows. For I, or the newly attained consciousness, has ways that ye know not of. Its ways are past finding out. Do not speculate as to the how of this consciousness embodying itself, for no man is wise enough to know the how. Speculation is proof that you have not attained to the naturalness of being the thing desired, and are so filled with doubts. So it's what I mentioned in my previous podcast, that if you keep thinking about the how, it just means you haven't felt your act to be natural, and therefore you will have doubts. I believe this is the end of the chapter. Yeah. So anyways, this was the chapter, and yeah, I hope it has helped you in any way. You like the video if you think it was useful, subscribe if you haven't, and watch the notification bell. You can also leave a comment in the comment section if you like some coaching. I haven't put up my email, but leave a comment in the section and I will get back to you. It's free, by the way, just to make sure. So yeah, thank you for watching my video, and yeah, we're going to chapter 4 next time, and I am very excited about this, and I hope this will make you read the book again, because it's the most important message I want to pass along is that you shouldn't just listen to me reading it, you should also read it yourself. The words will be picked up differently, stronger. Do it both. Listen, read. Trust me, it will help you and build a lot of faith. So thank you again for watching, and now let us go into the silence.